What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of All In with Nate. This is actually going to be a double show because I didn't get a chance to discuss the victory on Monday night. It was a late game, so I ended up saying I'll just do it at some point this week. But the Atlanta Falcons won 22-21 against the Philadelphia Eagles to get their first win of the season, the first win of the Raheem Morris campaign. Needed that win considering the Chiefs are in town this weekend. I will talk about that. But I do want to bring to the screen my preview from. I wanted to discuss last week's victory, really the 99 seconds that won the game. The Falcons did a good mini movie. I wanted to show that up here. I'm not going to play the audio because, of course, I don't want YouTube to try to strike the video. So, but let's click on this. I'm going to start. It's a 3-minute clip, so I'm going to just go over the game. This is actually the third down and 3 play for the first down that Saquon Barkley dropped, and that was shocking because we had no timeouts. Could not believe they actually called that pass play. And, of course, they went up 6, but still, I mean, you got to score a touchdown to win. The Falcon offense hadn't got fully clicking yet, so I think the Eagles felt very confident that, they was going to pull this one off. But the Falcons hadn't moved the ball all night against that Philadelphia defense, which is kind of up and down right now. But again, I mean, I feel like the Falcons offense started to wake up at Philadelphia in this game. And, this was one of the big early parts of the game. And this was probably the first time I seen Kirk Cousins look like Kirk Cousins. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we didn't really play a lot in preseason. And he got Darnell Mooney going, who, by the way, had a really good game. I'll talk about his stat line later on. And this was, if what we saw in the no huddle from this team shows me the potential of what this offense could be. He got Darnell Mooney involved. He got Drake London involved, of course, as you know, in the game-winning touchdown, which they'll probably show right this second. Oh, no, this is the incompletion. I actually thought this was going to be called as pass interference, but he kind of acted on that one. So that was good. But, I mean, the Falcons offense showed spurts all night in that game. They just couldn't punch it in the end zone. They were getting to the red zone. So for this moment to happen, and this was such a great route by Drake London to actually give us the lead with, I think it was like 30-something seconds remaining at the time. And then we ended up having to kick a long field goal because of his celebration. I think y'all probably remember the celebration. Okay, I'm right. It was 34 seconds. So, oh, yeah, that was a nasty route. I mean, that was a vicious route that Drake London ran. But that's his potential. And then Youngo, I was a little nervous about that 48-yard field goal extra point, but he hit it to give us a lead. So it was a great way to start the game. Great way to end that drive. But we had to stop them from scoring. I mean, I didn't feel like they were going to get a game in the field goal. I actually felt the interception coming, which Jesse Bates, as you saw, completed that interception. By the way, Jesse Bates, shout out to him. He won. I'm going to come back to the main screen. So Jesse Bates celebrated real quick. But Jesse Bates actually won NFC Defensive Player of the Week last week for his great game. I'm going to talk about the stats shortly. But again, for me, the Falcons had to win that game. They had to win that game because, again, the season is not over. It's far from over, but this is our rough part of the season. We got 3 straight home games coming up now. You had to win one of them early too, because you get the benefit of being at home. However, your opponents, all 3 of your opponents, have not lost a game yet. So you needed to win that game because coming to Atlanta 0-2 would have sparked a whole bunch of problems, from the Cousins dependence thing to, is this team really worth it? It's so many things that got avoided by pulling off that win. That win needed to happen for us in a big way. So shout out to the Falcons for getting that win this week. Because, again, defensively, I think the Falcons are way ahead of the game than more people think. The Falcons, I'll say this. The Falcons secondary is much better than I thought. Not referencing Bates and Simmons. I thought AJ Terrell had a better game Monday night. Excuse me. The CB2 has not really become that big of a problem that I thought it was going to be as of yet. That's still yet to be determined. I mean, we got Mahomes coming here tomorrow night. So we'll see if that becomes a potential issue. But as of right now, I think the secondary is really good. They've been good so far. I mean, it really took Jalen Hurts to run. Saquon Barkley got it going early, but then they shied away from him. I don't know what Nick Sirianni was on, but that may be a problem for the Eagles down the road, because if you have a head coach that cannot get your guys involved, you sign Saquon Barkley to basically be what CMC is in San Francisco, but you don't even keep him going. And then that play, honestly speaking, that 3rd down and 3 that he dropped, I've been saying the entire game for the Eagles, and don't get me wrong, I'm a Falcons fan, wanting to win the game, but I never could understand why they would not call that route to Saquon Barkley. You know, Saquon Barkley, 99% of the time, is going to beat his matchup to the end zone. So the time they actually called it, it was the worst time in the game to do it. Me personally, yes, I'm going to still kick my field goal, but you're going to have a minute and some change, like 105 or right at a minute with no timeouts to move the ball. We had plenty of time, and Kirk Cousins started to wake up. Kirk really didn't have a bad game. I think our offense just kept stalling in the red zone because, again, we moved the ball, but I think Zach Robinson also needs to take the shackles off of Kirk Cousins. I get it. You're concerned about the fact that he's coming off ACL injury, but in that no-huddle game-winning drive, and even at times throughout this game, I felt like Kirk Cousins was being Kirk Cousins at that point. You cannot sit here and make an aggressive passer like a Kirk Cousins be a shell of himself. And I'm going to be intrigued to see how he performs tomorrow night on a big stage for the second week in a row. We're going from a Monday night game to a Sunday night home game. So going to be interesting to see how the Falcons operate with that. You know, that's another big time game on national TV. And I think that also this speaks to this. I think the Falcons should have played at least a couple of snaps in preseason. It showed against Pittsburgh. No disrespect to the Steelers. TJ Watt started going crazy at the second half, but that was a winnable ball game. The Falcons offense stalled that game. This game, they were moving the ball, but they had to settle for a lot of field goals. And that's one thing that I want to see them improve over the next couple of weeks. For one, I've noticed they've tried to feed Kyle Pitts somewhat in the end zone, but you got to be a little more creative. You got both Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, who, by the way, had really good games, by the way. Let me also mention this. The Falcons need to continue to unleash those two guys. This can be, and I don't like to give this fan base no credit, so they're going to get the field out of this one. But if I was in the position of Zach Robinson, the Falcon offense would be ran like the 2018 New Orleans Saints. I would absolutely unleash Tyler Algier and unleash Bijan Robinson. I think the game against Philly, they really started to see a little bit more. And don't get me wrong, loved Bijan Robinson. Bijan has to get his touches, but Tyler Algier is your bell cow. I'm getting you 5 yards when I need to get you them 5 yards. My goal line back, you got to be willing to spread that ball to both. They did a little bit better against the Eagles, but against this Chiefs team that's coming in here, the Chiefs is going to be another week where let's see, can you get your guys going? To me, your run sets up your play action. Although the Falcons offensive line isn't the greatest in pass protection, I thought they did a really good job against the Eagles defense, way more than people expected. To me, you just need to be good enough. You don't need to be great. You have one great offensive lineman, that's Chris Lindstrom at right guard, but the rest of your team just need to do enough. But guess what? You make it easier when your rushing attack is involved. Another thing from that game offensively, they got to figure out a way to get Kyle Pitts involved. And this upcoming week is going to be interesting because the Chiefs have had the second worst passing defense in the league through the first 2 weeks. You gonna have to, and you watched Isaiah Likely go crazy on week 1. This would be the Kyle Pitts game if you are looking for Kyle Pitts to get activated. But he needs to get activated in general. I'm not just saying that because all the Chiefs are coming up. He needs to get activated in general. But I also think it's early to see how the chemistry clicks with this team. They're still kind of figuring each other out. I think as far as our wide receivers, Mooney is getting better and better each week. Ray McCloud has been better than I thought. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was going to be a special teams guy. But Ray McCloud has actually been a really good slot receiver. I also think that Kirk Cousins is going to start forming chemistry with Drake London. I think he had 7 targets. We'll find out from the stat line soon as far as that offense. But to me, the Falcons offense did a really good job. However, let me make that very, very clear. You got to score touchdowns. You cannot keep kicking field goals and try to win ball games in the National Football League. It just cannot happen. You got to start getting it in the end zone, especially I can understand if you're in field goal range. Like, to me, field goal range is like the 35 to 36 yard line. If you're like between that and the 20, that's understandable if you can't punch it in. But we were getting inside the 10. We were like on the doorstep of the end zone and not pushing it into the end zone. You cannot do that in the National Football League because against better teams that will come back to haunt you. You got to get it together. You got to get it together quick. If you plan on contending this season, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, it has to change. So, gonna see how this upcoming games, we got 3 consecutive home games. So, we're going to see how it comes up this next couple of weeks. But as far as the defensive unit, I have 2 gripes on defense. The first one, it could be just an early season thing. It could be kinked out. That's something that I want to see happen. I get it. The Falcons are a 3-4 defense. But there is no reason that majority of the game, Judon, Ebiketie, Grady, and David Onyemata is not getting multiple snaps. I get the rotations, but there are times where you may see Eddie Goldman, David Onyemata, and Grady Jarrett rushing the passer. They got back there at Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts is mobile. You need a person that when he get back there, he's going to bring him down. And with a guy like Mahomes coming up, Mahomes going to extend the play. So you're going to have to, if you get pressure, you're going to have to finish the play. You cannot sit there and get pressure and let him run for a first down. Because the more possessions you allow, the problem's going to be worse. The second thing is I still have concerns at linebacker. I hate that Nate Landman is hurt right now because I just personally don't think Troy Anderson is that guy. I don't. I know he's coming off an injury, but this is his 3rd season. He was a 2nd-round pick. You drafted him because he's one of the fastest linebackers in the class. However, to me, his IQ's not there. There was times during the Eagles game where 3rd down coming up, he's gonna run a blitz straight up at Jalen Hurts. Why? Spy him. You knew at a certain point in the game the Eagles really couldn't get it going in the passing attack. Spy him. That's the thing. That's the name of the game. When you have a mobile quarterback, but he started getting loose. And then that became a problem for the defense because now you have to be concerned this guy might take off. But it would need an issue if you actually pay attention to what you're doing. But that's the problem that I feel like Troy Anderson has that Caden Ellis and Nate Landman don't have. They may not be your quickest guys, but they're going to 99% of the time make that tackle. So I feel that the Falcons, if Nate Landman is going to be out for a decent amount of time, they need to go the direction of getting a veteran linebacker that's going to know to roam the field straight up. You have a really good defense. You don't want that middle of the unit to be your downfall. And against Travis Kelce this weekend, you're going to have to be ready to go. This would be the game for him to show, hey, I'm here. But we'll see. We will see. But let me pull up these stats real quick so I can kind of give a breakdown of the stat line. Oh, one more thing. Well, I'm waiting because I actually know the stat, but I'll wait till we get into the side of the things. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Now this is the stat line for the game from the win. Let me go. I think I might have clicked on the wrong one. This is the Chiefs one. Excuse me. Hold on. My apologies. That's the Chiefs game. Let me do the Eagles. I think I have it up there. I do. Here we go. All right, let me go back to the screen. Okay, so as you see, the I'm gonna come off so I can go full screen. But the Eagles, the Falcons beat the Eagles 22-21 to get to 1-1 on the season. Kirk Cousins had a really good game statistically. 20-29, 241, 2 touchdowns, no picks. QB rating of 117.2. That means he was efficient most of the game. Got sacked 1 time. Really good game for Kirk Cousins. That looked like the Kirk Cousins that we signed. And we need to see more of that Kirk Cousins. Jalen Hurts was 23 of 30, 183. Like I said, the Falcons did a really good job kind of keeping them contained. They had a lot of those passes were like underneath throws. Like if you watch the game, you understand what I'm saying. As far as the rush done, this was the big part of this game. Bijan, 14 carries, 97 yards. Tyler Algier, 9 for 53. This is the type of production you want at your running back 1 and 2. Because once again, you got 2 really solid running backs that can do everything. Utilize those guys. Don't shy away from utilizing those guys because you got some talent. You got a lot of talent, matter of fact, in that rushing attack. And you have one of the league's best run blocking offensive lines. Yet let those boys loose. On the opposite side, Saquon Barkley is just he started getting going. He had 22 for 95. Jalen Hurts had 85 yards rushing in a touchdown. Jalen Hurts he wasn't bad. He really was a big reason why they stayed in that game because he started saying, look, I got to move the ball with my legs straight up. So both teams did a really good job running the ball. Receiving, Darnell Mooney, 3 for 88. He had that big 41-yard touchdown in the game. He had them 2 big completions. He had 7 targets. Drake London, 6 for 54 and a touchdown. He had 7 targets. Ray McLeod, 3 of 42. Had 5 targets. Bijan got 5 targets. Kyle Pitts, 3 for 20 with 4 targets. As you starting to see, the targets are increasing for our wide receivers. It needs to increase for Pitts as well. But as you see, the chemistry they're starting to see what this offense can do together. And that's what we need to know. What can this offense truly do together? And I think it started to show against Philadelphia. On the Eagles side, Devontae Smith, 7 for 76 and a touchdown. He got that. It really should have been a pick, but I'm going to leave that alone. Dallas Goedert was 3 of 38. Brittany Covey, he kept getting a lot of receptions. He was 6 for 6. Saquon was not utilized as much as he should have been utilized in the receiving game, if you ask me. And then Grant Calcaterra, he had a couple of completions early in the game, but not really much on that side as far as them. Okay, Kirk Cousins had 1 fumble. He did fall back on it. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, he did have him and Bijan had a bad exchange, but thankfully didn't become a turnover. The Eagles had no fumbles. Defensively, Jesse Bates, he deserved the defensive player of the week. 12 tackles, 7 solo, 1 tackle for a loss, 2 breakups and a pick. Jesse Bates, I'm ready to stamp it, might be the second best Falcon safety of all time. I still got Scott Case at number 1 for now. He can easily pass Scott Case. Scott Case, for a lot of us new school Falcon fans, we don't really know him. But you old school Falcon fans, you know him very well. Scott Case was a dog for the Falcons for years. He was around during Dion days for like the ones that don't really know who that is. But I think Jesse Bates is already top 2 safety in Falcon history. It is not even close. Caden Ellis had a really good game. Caden Ellis is a sleeper free agency pickup last year. He had 11 tackles for throws, 6 solo. Troy Edison actually had 9 tackles. So the statistics don't show that Troy Edison be out of place, but he do be out of place. AJ Terrell had a really good game. He had 7 tackles. Judon, again, as I mentioned before, they got to let Judon loose. When Judon is on the field, he is getting pressure. He had a quarterback sack. He had 2 tackles for a loss. And he had a quarterback hit. That guy's he's starting to become more and more comfortable on that defense. D'Alford, Simmons, and Mike Hughes had 5 tackles apiece. Justin Simmons had a pretty good game. Evan Katie had 3 tackles. Grady Jarrett had 2. Grady's also, to me, starting to really get in the groove again, too. Ayamada always has a good game. He had 3. Grady Jarrett, by the way, congratulations to him. He had 3 quarterback hits. He passed John Abraham for the most quarterback hits in Falcon history. So that tells you the type of impact that Grady Jarrett has made on this team. And he's one of my favorite Falcons, actually, of all time. Taquan had 2 tackles. So the rest of them who had 1 was Eddie Goldman, Kadero Hodge had a special teams, Kevin King, James Smith-Williams. Let me bring him up real quick, too. He had a tackle for a loss. He had a good game week 1 against the Steelers as well. I thought he was pretty good. Richie Grant had a tackle in the pass breakup. Richie Grant is doing the best that he can, and that is being on the bench. You know how I feel about Richie Grant. Clark Phillips had a tackle, and so did JT Bertrand. So that was the tackles on the Falcon side. Reed Blankenship had 10 tackles for the Eagles. Zach Bond had 9. N'Kobe Dean had 7. Milton Williams got a sack for the Eagles. And by the way, the Eagles are in a weird spot defensively because a lot of our Georgia boys and the young guys they drafted are now getting the opportunity to play. However, the Eagles was in this veteran movement forever, so it just was tough. It was tough for them to get out of that. Okay, let me get to the interceptions. Jesse Bates had a pick. Will Shipley and both Avery Williams both had a kick return. They both had a punt return. Jake Elliott was 2 of 2. Youngho was 3 of 3. Even in punt. So really, it was a good defensive game. Go to this team statistics. Both teams had an equal amount of first downs passing. The Eagles ran 10 more plays than the Falcons. I'll tell you why in a second. Falcons actually outgained the Eagles. Both had the equal amount of drives. They outgained them in passing. The Eagles outran the Falcons. Monday. They had 5. Falcons averaged 5.5 on first down. That's actually impressive. 5.5 yards to carry. The Falcons were 1 of 3 in the red zone and kicked 2 field goals. The Eagles were 2 of 5. The Eagles was trying to be bold. I'm not going to lie to y'all. The Eagles really blew some opportunities in that red zone because they went for it on 4th down. The Falcons got to stop. They had that and kicked 2 field goals. So they really blew their opportunities when they got to the red zone. This one stat is glaring. You see it as possession, and on the side of your screen, you probably see it too. The Eagles had the ball for 35 minutes. This is the 2nd week in a row your defense had to be on the field over 30 minutes. It's time for that Falcon offense to even this thing out. Because if you keep going in games where your defense is on the field for over 30 minutes, thankfully, they've allowed 21 and 18 the last 2 weeks. They got to change. That has to change because you don't want to burn out your passing attack. Your defense that's really stout. You don't want to burn them out. And you can easily burn them out by keeping them on the field for that long period of time. But Falcons got the win. happy to be in a win column, especially in a division where New Orleans started 2-0. That offense has been crazy. They went there and smacked Dallas. Detroit lost to the Buccaneers. The Bucs got their playoff revenge. So can't get too far behind this division, especially after this Chiefs game. After this Chiefs game, you now have a chance to even this division out. You got 3 consecutive NFC South games after this Chiefs game. So it's definitely important to go ahead and get these victories while you can. You got to, I said it in my preview, the Falcons had to walk away through the first 5 weeks 2-3 at worst. You cannot be no worse than that. You go to, and I'm not saying that we're going to drop multiple games, but I'm saying if you are 2-3 through the first 5, your rest of your schedule actually benefits you, and you don't have a lot of tough opponents down the road outside of maybe the Dallas Cowboys, which of course it's going to always be a tough game. So again, you got to get your wins, and especially at home. You got 4 early home games. So key to win your games early and often, at home especially. So good win for the Falcons. They got a bigger task on their hands coming up, and I want to get on to them. They got, as we all know, the Falcons play the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. The current line for the Chiefs is 3. It was 6.5 before the Falcons won on Monday night, but it went down to 3. Again, what's there to be said about the Chiefs? The Chiefs dynasty in a 3-peat mood. They coming off a win against the Bengals, and that was controversial ending. I know a lot of folks probably was like the refs bailed them out, but I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. You know what you're getting. However, the Falcons get the benefit of this being their true first road game of the season because the first 2 games were in Kansas City. So if the Falcons want to prove to this fan base that they are legitimate contenders when it comes to being a legit threat in the NFC or just going forward, this is a game you want to win. The Chiefs are not 100%. Pacheco's out for 8 weeks. I hate that because I would have loved to see how he matched up against this Atlanta defense. But they are coming in. They got a really good offense. Kelsey hasn't got going like I thought he would by this point. But you got Xavier Worthy, who kid is crazy. Once Patrick Mahomes get him in a groove, that could be Tyreek Hill 2-1. Rasheed Rice has been even better this year. I thought Rasheed Rice was one of my favorite wide receivers to come out of 2023's class, and he ended up with Mahomes. So I like him as well. I still think Travis Kelce has not had that breakout. Who knows? He could break out on Sunday Night Football. That's the guy you have to always be concerned about. But the thing about the Chiefs this season, again, their defense is, this is no disrespect to Steve Spagnuolo. He's an outstanding defensive coordinator. But that defense is kind of shaky right now. They lost as you remember, they lost to Jerry Sneed this offseason. So they don't really have, I mean, Trent McDuffie's a really solid corner, but you can attack that passing attack. I mean, both Burrow and Lamar threw for almost 300 yards apiece, but thankfully, they walked away with a win. The rushing game, now the Falcons might be able to thrive offensively. And I'm going to bring it up to the screen. What will it take offensively for the Falcons to slow down the Chiefs? It's going to be a big concern for that Chiefs linebacking core, who is not as strong as they once was. Nick Bolton's Nick Bolton. However, Drew Tranquill, those other guys at that linebacking core, they're not that good. Willie Gay was a big part of that linebacking core. He's in New Orleans now. But Falcons got to get that running game going again. The Ravens ran up and down the field on them. The Falcons has the running backs and the weaponry at that spot to do the same thing. It's going to be key for Zach Robinson. Get that group going, because then it opens up the pass attack. And again, this is not the Chiefs defense that you're used to right now. It's early. They're going to get it together. However, you're catching them at the right time if you're the Falcons. You catch them at the right time. because the middle of that Kansas City defense is very vulnerable and it's up for Kirk Cousins to get it going this game. Because this is why I'm saying this should be the Kyle Pitts game if you're the Atlanta Falcons. You need to get Kyle Pitts going because I don't know any linebacker on that defense that's going to be able to slow that man down if he can get going in the game. If he can't get going in the game, it's going to be a major side eye because, I mean, dude, Chiefs aren't even that good against tight ends right now. Isaiah Likely had a field day. He did nothing week 2, but he just had a field day on the road week 1 at Kansas City. So, and plus, Kyle Pitts is way better than Isaiah Likely, let's be honest. So, he need to get going. The other thing I will say is, continue to get your pass, get that chemistry together with your wide receivers. This could be another good game for Darnell Mooney to eat. I know Trent McDuffie probably going to be matched up with Drake London a lot. Not saying Drake London can't have a good game, but this is the game where your Rays and your, Darnell Mooney get going. Like, this is the game that you start opening up those guys into your offense. Definitely got to get that play action game going and cook. I think we're going to see some more out of that offense. But what the Falcons cannot do on offense is let Chris Jones get going. If you remember, TJ Watt had an absolute freaking field day. He had a field day against that Atlanta offensive line in the second half of week 1. That can't happen again. It cannot happen again. It can't. You got to figure out the way to get Chris Jones contained. You can contain Chris Jones. Your offensive game plan is a lot better than it is scrap. You got to show that you can defend an elite pass rusher in a Chris Jones. You know Chris Jones is a tough guy. However, don't get too conservative. You still need to continue to feed off what we saw in Philadelphia. So it's a winnable game for the Falcons, but it really comes down to what that Kirk Cousins offense and company can do. Now, my question of how can the Chiefs defense, how can our defense keep the Falcons, y'all, I'm sorry. How can we keep the Chiefs defense in check? Let's be real, y'all. Mahomes is Mahomes. Mahomes going to make a way. But the Chiefs have weaknesses on that team, and it starts at tackle. If the Falcons off defense was to exploit anything, this is the game for your pass rushers to eat because I don't trust those tackles in Kansas City. You can get pressure on the tackles in Kansas City. You make it tough on Mahomes. This is going to have to be Matthew Judon. This got to be the Matthew Judon game. I need to see pass rush like I haven't seen it before. But they're getting better. To me, the defense is getting better each week. But this is the game where you really, really show how you can definitely establish yourself as a solid defense to the world. I mean, the nation is watching. So this is the game to get it going if you're the Falcons defense. And again, keep pressure on Mahomes. Keep him contained as much as you can. However, don't let it turn into a scrimmage drill because he got the speed in these receivers. He got the Xavier Warders who can get open down the seam. He got the Rasheed Rice who can eat. He got the Travis Kelce who going to find a route. So you cannot let it turn into a scrimmage drill. Bring him down. Now, Mahomes is going to do some Mahomes stuff. That ain't even the question here. Mahomes going to throw some dots. He going to get some stuff that you're going to be like, whoa. But that's Mahomes. That's just Mahomes for you. I'm a big Mahomes fan. Don't get me wrong. I cannot wait to see the guy in person. We got to win. But, I mean, I'm a big Mahomes fan. I cannot wait to see that offense for the first time. They have not been to Atlanta since the Super Bowl season, 2016. They came here for preseason in 2018, but he wasn't Mahomes yet. He wasn't the Patrick Mahomes that we know now. So it is so key for the Falcons to get that offense in check because you don't Because with Pacheco out, they got to find a running game. They brought back Kareem Hunt, but it's his first game back with the Chiefs. You got to keep that rushing attack in check. The Falcons didn't have the best game against the Eagles stopping the run. But this is the game where if you can keep that rushing attack in check, you're back at home in front of your fans. Your crowd will carry you through this thing. But you're going to have to get some early stops. You got to turn that stadium into a raucous venue because let's be honest, it's gonna be a decent. It's gonna be some Chiefs fans, not where it was on that Steelers type level 2 weeks ago, but they're gonna be there because it's gonna be people that's gonna want to see Mahomes. However, this is the time where the Falcons can feed off that home field advantage and carry this team to a win. But you definitely have to make sure that you don't try to get ultra aggressive on Patrick Mahomes. And another thing is Travis Kelce truly haven't had a breakout game yet, and I know he's waiting. I know he's waiting for the right moment. It could be this game coming up. You got to have Caden Ellis and Troy Anderson looking all over the field to make sure that this man is in check, because if you can keep Kelce limited, you stand a good chance of winning. And I trust this Falcon defense. They're getting better each week, but this is their true test that they got. And again, if you find a way to defeat the Chiefs at home, the rest of your schedule sets itself up for you. Me personally, my prediction is I think that the Chiefs got enough to win the ball game, but I feel like if the Falcons are to win, it's going to be like a 3 to 7 point game. But the Falcons stand a good chance of winning this game. I'm not gonna come on here and tell you I don't feel that the Falcons have an opportunity to win this ball game, because they do. But I know it's going to be a good task on both sides. We're going to learn a lot about ourselves against one of the premier dynasties in the National Football League. I'm excited for this opportunity. And again, this is the first 3 Falcon home games. They got the Saints the following week. Of course, we got to beat the Saints. And then you got another prime time, a Thursday night against the Buccaneers, which is in less than 2 weeks now. So you got to earn your home wins while you can, because after this stretch, this right here, the Falcons have already played 4 of their 9 home games. The rest of the game's going to be spread out. It might be every other week, maybe a couple weeks on the road, and then back in Atlanta. But they got to win their home games while you're having home games. Don't sit here and get comfortable of being inside Mercedes-Benz but losing the games. So look forward to it. I will be doing a show. I probably got a special guest coming up on the show on Monday for the Falcon post game. But again, if you ever want to just chime Falcons football, you see my Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube. You ever want to guest appear, we'll work something out. But again, this has been a Eagles review and a Chiefs preview. So this was a full-time Falcon show. I thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, go Falcons, rise up. I'll be back Monday. Have a good day and enjoy some college football.